The newest trailer for Disney Plus's television series WandaVision has recently dropped, and there is a lot going on in it. A lot of fast cuts, a lot of hidden characters and props to analyze and pick apart as we try to figure out what it all means. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. WandaVision is a series that centers around Wanda Maximoff, aka the superhero and Avenger known as Scarlet Witch, and her romantic partner, Vision, an artificial intelligence given life by the Mind Stone, who we saw die during the events of Infinity War, killed by Wanda herself, and then brought back to life using the Time Stone only to be killed again by Thanos, and who is also an Avenger. The television series seems to have a name that fittingly refers to what exactly it will be about on multiple levels. For one, it appears as though it is a reference to television, and various different sitcoms and TV shows which, number 2, have possibly inspired Wanda to create her own vision of reality, using her reality warping powers. And of course the name also refers to the lead characters of both Wanda, played by Elizabeth Olsen, and Vision, who is played by Paul Bettany. Today we're going to be taking a look at the newest trailer for the series as we count down the top 10 WandaVision Easter eggs. If you love all things Marvel, check out our exclusively Marvel playlist by clicking on over here, filled with our most marveliest of videos. And be sure to stick around to the end of this list where I will have some bonus content coming your way in the form of comment responses. Alright, now let's get counting. It's my own version of chaos magic. Now we count. Number 10. Bewitched. The more we dive into the classic 1950s to 60s vibe for at least part of the show, the more we get constant parallels to the American television sitcom that ran from the mid-60s to early 70s, Bewitched. This classic show also started out in black and white and followed Samantha Montgomery, a witch who met, fell in love with, and married a mortal named Darren Stevens. The show follows their crazy adventures as Samantha struggles to fit into the mortal world and to live the life of an everyday normal housewife. Also, if you're like, what about I Love Lucy, Amanda? We're getting to that. Number 9. Agatha Harkness. You may have noticed at the beginning of the trailer if you were watching with subtitles on, side note, this is another reason that I love subtitles, that the nosy neighbor character of Wanda and Vision, played by Kathryn Hahn, is named Agnes. Many fans think this name could be a covert name for the famous witch from Marvel Comics, Agatha Harkness. Not only does her name seem to be similar to Agatha, but we also see Agnes dressed up as a witch for Halloween in the trailer. Very interesting. Comic fans of Wanda Maximoff will likely note that Agatha Harkness is known for not only being a powerful witch, but also for being a teacher to Wanda when it comes to mastering her hex magic. Number 8. Maison du Mépris. You may or may not have noticed a very focused shot on a wine bottle in the trailer. Wanda appears to be using her magics to make itself pour, giving us a clear look at the label on its front. It reads Maison du Mépris, which translates from French to English as the House of Misery. This is not only telling for Wanda's and Vision's story to come, but could also be a reference to the famously tragic House of M story. Maison du Prix, House of Misery, House of M. Just saying. Number 7. Mr. and Mrs. Hart. Adding a nod to I Love Lucy, another famous retro American sitcom featuring Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, who were married in real life for 20 years and had a very rocky marriage, Mr. and Mrs. Hart are characters we see Wanda and Vision having dinner with in the show. And while some believe they could be Wanda's subconscious trying to break through this fantasy world and get Wanda to face reality, it also appears that Fred Malhamad and Deborah Jo Rupa's characters of Mr. and Mrs. Hart are a reference to a similar relationship that Lucy and Ricky's characters had with their neighbors Fred and Ethel in I Love Lucy. Number 6. The Twins. In the trailer we also spot a shot of Vision and Wanda carrying 2 babies, each with one in their arms. It appears the show may be featuring Wanda's magically created, yet fake, babies, who are later confusingly reincarnated in the Marvel Universe and are acknowledged as being Wanda's children, while also still having their own different birth parents and families. The twins in the comics, which Wanda created using her willpower and reality warping powers, are known as Billy and Tommy. Tommy is now known as Thomas Shepard, codenamed Speed. He has white hair and takes after his fake uncle, Pietro Maximoff. He's super speedy. Billy, on the other hand, takes after his mother. In the comics, he is now known as Billy Kaplan, aka Wiccan, a magic user with reality warping powers, who recently got married to fellow hero Hulkling So cute. Both are mutants despite the fact that Wanda and Pietro had their mutant heritage retconned in the comics. Number 5. Original costume. Yes! I love that we get this Easter egg in here and that we can expect to see it in the series. We get a shot featuring Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda in her original costume. Now it appears to be a potential Halloween look just based on where she's wearing it and the quality of the costume, which admittedly looks like a pretty high level Halloween costume, but not quite cinematic level. Still, I'm super excited to see her rock this original costume look for Wanda in the series. It's one of my favorite costumes around. I always love a good, strange, and not really functioning headpiece in a costume. Number 4. Reality warp. Not only do we have that wine bottle to give us a hint that Wanda might be having a psychotic break and creating a fictional alternate reality for everyone to live in, we also get many clear moments where this is implied. From moving through countless decades of fashion and interior design, as well as stylized shots, to a specific moment that we see in the trailer between Vision and Agnes. She seems to be stuck in a trance, which Vision snaps her out of by lightly shocking her. Agnes looks startled to see Vision and asks, "Am I dead?" Vision, puzzled, answers no, why? And she responds, cackling, "Because you are." We also see a shot of Vision's skin turning from gray to red, suggesting that Wanda has brought him back from the dead, but perhaps not really. We could, after all, be living in a false reality which Wanda's powers have created, but how long will that last? Number 3. Vision's cape. Not only does Wanda seem to be rocking a Halloween costume version of her original look, but Vision also gets an amazing and comedic one, complete with his dramatically colored bright yellow cape. This costume made its first appearance alongside Vision in the original Avengers series Volume 1, Issue 57 out of 1968. I seriously am in love with all these Halloween vibes, and I hope these aren't the only original Halloween looks that we get to see. Hopefully we'll be treated to a few other comic book supers' original looks via Halloween costumes maybe worn by residents in this sleepy town which Wanda and Vision seem to have taken up residence in, or which Wanda has created. Number 2. Captain Marvel 2. Near the end of the trailer we get an amazing surprise. We can see a character flying through the sky through some kind of force field, possibly what houses or protects Wanda's imaginary world, and landing at the feet of government agents. That character is played by Teyonah Parris, who has been confirmed as playing grown-up Monica Rambeau. What does this mean? Likely that WandaVision will have some kind of ties to Captain Marvel's story, potentially weaving into the plot of Captain Marvel 2. Monica Rambeau in the comics was actually the first woman to wear the Captain Marvel mantle, but in the MCU, where she was introduced as Carol's best friend Maria's daughter, it is likely that we'll see her take up another mantle and potentially work alongside Carol, possibly as Photon, one of her superhero mantles which was hinted at in the first film. Number 1. Sword and Darcy Lewis. The government agents that Monica Rambeau seems to collapse in the ground in front of, many believe they're meant to be the Sword organization, who will be taking the place of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the MCU. Though in the comics, Sword are more a branch of S.H.I.E.L.D. which deal with monitoring and responding to intergalactic threats. Sword stands for Sentient World Observation and Response Department. During this shot, you might have also missed the reappearance of a very familiar and long absent character, Darcy Lewis, played by Kat Dennings in the MCU. I love Kat Dennings. Darcy was the friend of Jane Foster, one of the world's most brilliant astrophysicists and Thor's love interest. Darcy was Jane's friend, assistant, and her intern, and worked alongside both Jane herself and her professor, Eric Selvig. You can just barely make her out in the background, but hey, she's there. Slow down the trailer at around 1 minute and 6 seconds to see if you can make it out for yourself. It seems Darcy will be joining S.W.O.R.D. or at least working with them, potentially attempting to assess the threat that Wanda's reality warping powers pose to the world. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. What are some Easter eggs that you spotted in this trailer? Which Disney Plus shows are you most excited for? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Powers You Didn't Know Madeline Pryor Had. Pete Eddy comments, Spider People, or better, The Attack of the Spider People. Sounds like 1960s B-movie gold. I would totally watch that movie. Better yet, I'd love to visit an alternate Spidey-Mans filled world where we get to see that happen, where an army of alternate Spideys are the villains instead of the heroes. Mercury Vincent suggests Amanda McKnight can definitely pull off a Madeline Pryor cosplay. Actually, I'm currently working on one, so stay tuned on my socials and hopefully you'll see more of it in October. I'm just so freaking excited for it. I love Maddie. Maybe I'll even wear it on the channel. We shall see. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and feels shouted out in a future video. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you to stay nerdy, YouTube. Number 4. Reality Warp. Whoa, my voice cracked. I'm becoming a prepubescent boy.